what makes a giant company fall? How can corporations worth billions of dollars suddenly collapse almost overnight? History shows that even the biggest companies can fail sometimes faster than anyone expects. And often, the problem isn't just bad decisions, but something deeper inside the company. To understand why corporate scandals keep happening, we need to look at one important concept in business and economics: corporate governance. At the center of it all lies a key issue in modern corporations: the agency problem. To understand why large companies can collapse, we need to look at a classic problem in the modern business world, namely the agency problem. In modern companies, the owners or shareholders do not usually run the company directly. They appoint professional managers to manage the company on a daily basis. In organizational theory, this relationship is known as the relationship between the principal, that is, the owner of the company, and the agent, that is, the party authorized to manage the company. Problems arise when the interests of the two parties are not always aligned. Shareholders generally want the company to grow healthily and sustainably in the long term. However, in some situations, managers may be more focused on personal interests, such as pursuing bonuses, enhancing their personal reputation, or making performance look good in the short term. When corporate oversight is not functioning properly, these differences in interests can lead to decisions that are detrimental to the company and its investors. This conflict is known as the agency problem. That is why companies need a strong governance system to ensure that managers act in accordance with the interests of owners and all stakeholders. Now, that we understand the agency problem in theory, let's look at how it appears in the real world. Corporate governance issues did not suddenly appear in modern times. In fact, they go all the way back to the birth of the first modern corporation, the Dutch East India Company, established in 1602. From the very beginning, there was already a separation between the owners of the company and the people who managed it. And from that moment on, the seeds of conflicts of interest had already been planted. Centuries later, the pattern still looks the same. Enron collapsed in 2001 after executives manipulated financial reports. WorldCom followed in 2002. In 2008, Lehman Brothers fell and shook the global economy. Indonesia has seen similar cases too, such as Kimia Pharma and Bank Century. Different countries and industries, but the pattern repeats. Management abuses trust, oversight fails, and investors suffer. Every time a major scandal breaks out, the world responds by creating new rules. After Enron, the U.S. introduced the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. After the Maxwell and BCCI scandals in the UK, the Cadbury Report was born. After the 2008 financial crisis, banking regulations were tightened across the globe. But here's the thing: scandals kept happening anyway. New regulation comes in, and the next scandal follows, over and over again. Here's something surprising. Around 72% of corporate fraud cases involve CEOs or directors, and 43% involve CFOs. Many cases even involve both together. These aren't ordinary employees. They're the people with the most power and trust in a company. It shows that strong systems and regulations alone aren't enough. The real question is, why would people at the top still choose to cheat? And that's where corporate governance theories begin. After seeing how conflicts between owners and managers can lead to serious problems, the next question becomes, how can companies control this risk? This is where corporate governance comes in. Corporate governance refers to the system that regulates how a company is directed and controlled, including the relationships between shareholders, the board of commissioners, directors, management, and other stakeholders. Through this system, responsibilities are clearly defined, decision-making is monitored, and management actions can be supervised. The goal is to ensure that the company operates transparently, responsibly, and in the interests of all stakeholders. In essence, corporate governance is designed to create a balance between power and accountability inside the company, preventing abuse of authority and protecting investors and the public. To prevent abuse of power and reduce conflicts of interest, companies need a strong governance foundation. One widely used framework is the 5 principles of good corporate governance. The first principle is transparency. Companies must disclose important information honestly, clearly, and on time so that investors and stakeholders can make informed decisions. The second principle is accountability. Every decision and action taken by management must be clearly defined and can be held responsible to the appropriate parties. The third principle is responsibility. Companies must comply with laws and regulations while also considering their social and environmental impacts. The fourth principle is independence, meaning decisions and supervision should be free from conflicts of interest. And the fifth principle is fairness and equality, ensuring that all shareholders and stakeholders are treated fairly. These 5 principles act like the foundation of a building. Without a strong foundation, even the tallest corporation can eventually collapse. Today, we live in a world where information spreads instantly. A single piece of news about a company, whether it's a strong financial report or a corporate scandal, can reach millions of people in just seconds. Because of this, investors today are no longer looking only at profit numbers. They also want to know how a company is managed. Is the company transparent? Are its leaders accountable? And can the company be trusted? Companies with strong corporate governance tend to be more stable. They are better at managing risks, avoiding major scandals, and maintaining sustainable growth in the long run. Good governance builds trust. It reassures investors, protects stakeholders, and helps companies survive during difficult times such as economic crises or market uncertainty. So, in the end, corporate governance is not just about rules or regulations. It is about creating a system that keeps power under control. Because when power is not properly supervised, even the biggest companies in the world can fall. Corporate scandals remind us that no company is too big to fail. Behind every collapse, there are usually deeper problems related to governance, accountability, and human behavior. Strong regulations and governance systems are important. They help create transparency, reduce conflicts of interest, and protect investors and stakeholders. Within the Oversight Committee, external auditors provide independent assurance on the fairness of financial statements, while independent commissioners ensure objective supervision and strengthen checks and balances in decision-making processes. However, systems alone are not enough. Ultimately, corporate governance depends on the integrity, ethics, and responsibility of the people who hold power within organizations. Understanding these issues helps us see that corporate governance is not just about rules and structures, but also about trust. Because in the end, the stability of the business world depends not only on how companies are built, but also on how they are led.